Hey everyone, welcome to Automotive, where today we're going to be talking about buying a new or used car and talk about car dealers. A new or used car is going to probably be one of the most expensive things that you're going to spend money on. Now yeah, you can get cheaper cars, you can get newer cars and things. Now today we're actually going buying a used car because we wanted a car that was a bit bigger. Now what we need to talk about, the process that we've been through to actually find this car, because some of the car dealers that we've been to in the dealerships, it's been scandalous. So let's quickly talk about buying a car from a private seller or from a dealer. Now if you buy a car from a private seller, there is legal comebacks, if there's some element of you've been scammed or something, but not as much sort of protection as there is if you buy a car from a main dealer. Now when you buy a car from a main dealer, of course you've got a place where you've actually bought the vehicle from, and you know that you can take the vehicle back, and a lot of reputable dealers, they will offer a warranty with the car as well. So like I said before, we've been looking over the past few weeks of getting a bigger car. Now to start this off, the very first garage that we went to, I rang them up, and it was an hour travel time to get to this garage, or just over an hour. And I rang up because we have had this before, where you get to a used car dealership and you get there and the car's just not as described. Now because we've been through that before, the very first car that we went looking at, I rang them up and I said, the pictures on the advert look good, the rating, it's everything you want to hear. I said, but please just tell me about the condition of the vehicle and everything. And they did do. So when we rang this dealer, they told me that the car was so clean and everything. So we made arrangements, we went and looked at it. When we got there, the car was such a mess. The bodywork was it was awful, and when we lifted the bonnet just to have a quick look underneath, that was as far as it went, because the engine wasn't just covered in oil, it was covered in pools of oil. So I went to the dealer that told me how clean this car was, and I said to him, have you actually seen under the bonnet in this car? And when I rang him, he told me how the car was so clean and everything, and then he went from that to oh no, we've only just got this in and so on. And I showed him and he was oh, I'm so sorry and everything. He said, we need to get this sorted. And it's basically he lied to us and he wasted our time, because I'm telling you now, no dealer that's put a car on his forecourt is going to know the car's in such bad condition and try and sell it. He knew, but he was hoping that somebody would come along and just buy it. Little did I realise at that time that was the start of a 2-week journey of looking at over 10 different cars that was a complete waste of time. So, like I said, the next 10 cars that we looked at, and I'm not exaggerating here, every single dealer that we went to, after phoning them, explaining what the last dealer had said and what they'd done and how they'd lied to us and told us that the cars were so clean and they weren't, they just continued to do the same thing. It's as though they'd all been trained by the same people, telling you the same story, the same lines, how clean the cars were and everything. And we got there, and do you know what? None of them were. It was a joke. It just got to a stage where it's we just couldn't believe it. And we just thought, there's no way we're going to be able to find a car from a used car dealership. So, a quick example of some of these stories that we'd been told when we got there. So some of the vehicles when we got there, the bodywork condition was horrendous. Engine condition, horrendous. Interior condition, horrendous. Some of the vehicles even had some of the body panels hanging off and things. And these car dealers were trying to tell us that, for the age of the year of the car and thing, this is normal. It's no, it's not normal. But I noticed that a lot of these car dealers, they just tell you the same thing. And like I said, this is why I had it in my head. It was are these car dealers trained by the same dodgy people? Do they go on how to rip people off? Do you know what? It was scandalous. At this stage, we didn't give up. We kept looking at everything, because I did believe that the car that we would want, we would find it. With a bit of persistence. It's just a shame that it was such time wasting. That it took so many days of traveling things to get through all these dodgy car dealers and things. Anyway, we kept going, and do you know what? We found a car that we was interested in, and on a Saturday afternoon, I give this garage a ring. Now when I give this garage a ring, I was asking about a vehicle that was interested in, and I said to him, I said, look, please let me explain something. I'm interested in this car, but we've looked at so many, and so many car dealers, they've just basically lied to us. Now this car dealer that we spoke to, he heard it in my voice, and he turned round and he actually said to me, he went, let me guess, you've looked at a lot of vehicles and you've got there, and they're not as described. And when I said that, he turned around and he said to me, he went, do you know what? He said, the amount of people that come to us and they tell us the same story about like all these like car dealers that are like just lying to people. So as I'm talking to him, he actually told me that he's been in the same situation himself, where he's been like looking for certain cars, you know, in the past, and he got there and he's had like cars that have not been as described. You know what? It was so refreshing speaking to somebody that knew how I felt. But then of course you might be thinking, this could just be another car dealer that's telling you what you want to hear. Then after being on the phone for almost an hour, talking about the vehicle that I was interested in, talking about all the experiences that I've been through, and then just talking about general like car things, because you know this guy's a car enthusiast and everything, I just got this good feel that I was like, do you know what? This car dealer, out of all the ones that like we've been to, this one does actually seem different. So do you know what? I arranged it, and I arranged to come and look at the car that I was interested in. We went and looked. Everything was as described, and I can't wait for you to meet the owner when we get there. So we're here at JCT Autocentre, and what we're going to do just before we go in here, just quickly show you some of the cars that they've got on sale here. So we're here with Kevin. Kevin's a little bit camera shy, you know, but he's not a shy person, so you know, if you do end up speaking to Kevin, Bruce's laughing and everything, I'll give you a quick glimpse of him over there. But do you know what, we've been here for a few hours and we've been talking about so many things. It's not related to us buying a car or anything. Kevin has got so much like knowledge and information with the motor trade and everything, and you know, I just want to like quickly ask him. He knows the situation we've been in with like buying cars and the nightmare that we've had. Have you got any tips for anybody that's buying a used car? Like, you know, I'm not saying like, you know, if they'll come in here, but just like to help people, if they've got any tips to buying a used car, what would it be?
Do your due diligence on the garage that you're going to buy the car from. Make sure the car is the right car that you want. Don't go out and buy a car that you get pressurised or into, or not the car that you want to buy. Check out the garage, check the reviews. When you finally turn up after you've done the travelling, check the garage. We here have workshops with 10 mechanics working in the workshops. Something goes wrong with your car, you feel safe that you can bring your car back here. You know, you buy your car with confidence. All our cars come with a new MOT, come with a pre-delivery inspection and a service for my guys in-house. It goes outside externally to a MOT station. That's 2 garages that's looked over your car. The cars come with 7 different levels of warranty. I think that's quite comprehensive.
Yeah, but one thing I will say there, Kevin, like what you were saying is like, so we looked at this car that we're getting, like we looked at the car almost 2 weeks ago, and like other cars that I've looked at, they were ready to be driven off the pitch in the state that we're at, but you was like, no, we're doing a service, you know, we're doing a fresh MOT, you know, we're doing the PDI and everything, and like I said, that's when you know that you're buying with confidence, like you just said. So
I want you to get the maximum you can get out of that car. So if I was to MOT these cars and they sit out there 3-4 weeks, that's a month that's gone by. You're now getting an 11-month MOT. The cars could sit outside there for 8 weeks. You get a 10 months MOT. I want you to have maximum. You turn up here. If you like the car, you can drive the car. You come back. You tell me anything that you think that you found. We'll talk us way through that. We'll repair it. We'll do whatever. Again, if it's something that would make it fail its MOT, it would be repaired before you buy it. So you put your £200 deposit on a car, and you get the maximum when you come to collect your car.
You also do servicing here as well, don't you?
Servicing, repairs, everything.
Now the thing is, because of the confidence that I've got in this garage, because I tell you what, it's a find here. You know, I've got nothing to gain by obviously saying that on a video. It's a find, this place. And I've just been speaking to Kevin, and I've just been saying, like, you know, in a year's time from now, look what the MOT he's doing and the servicing he's doing. We've just travelled about an hour to get here. You know, I've already said to you, I want to come back here and get the level of service to get like the car like done here. And
we're more than happy to see you. You come here as customers, you leave as friends anyway.
Exactly.
Round the corner, a service and MOT will take us pretty much half a day. Round the corner here, there's a leisure complex. There's food, there's cinemas, there's ice skating, there's go-karting, there's shopping, there's absolutely everything. You could spend more than a day.
Shopping. I might, when I come back, I might be coming on my own. So, but do you know what, Kevin?
Sounds like it'd be a lot cheaper.
Yeah. But you know what, Kevin? I really appreciate your help. I appreciate your honesty, and I appreciate how you've made me feel being here. So, do you know what, guys? I really do recommend this garage, and I will be putting the links in the description for you.
Tom, thank you very much.